Thanks for tuning in to the Drive On podcast, where we talk about issues affecting veterans after they get out of the military. Before we get started, I'd like to ask a favor. If you haven't done so already, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. If you've already done that, thank you. These ratings help the show get discovered so it can reach a wider audience. And while you're there, click the subscribe button so that you get notified of new episodes as soon as they come out. If you don't use Apple Podcasts, you can visit driveonpodcast.com/subscribe to find other ways of subscribing, including our email list. I'm your host, Scott DeLuzio, and now, let's get on with the show. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Drive On podcast. It looks like last week's episode, the Hail Mary attempt that I made to get us out of this lockdown situation that we were in didn't quite work, and we're still all stuck at home doing the social isolation thing. At least that's what we're being told to do. That's an interesting term, and I wanted to talk about social isolation and what it is that maybe some people aren't quite understanding, and how we can kind of work through this together. It's an interesting term, the social isolation that they picked. I think it's a bit of a fucked up term because it sort of implies that we have to just stay away from everyone and have zero interactions with anyone else. But that's really not the case. As a matter of fact, I'd like to encourage people to not only talk with others, but also to reach out to friends and family, neighbors, or whatever. Initiate the conversation with them, with the people in your life. Now, I'm not suggesting that you all go down to the bar for happy hour or anything like that, but you probably can't do that anyways because it's closed. But there are a number of ways that you can communicate with other people while still maintaining that physical distance or those barriers between you. And I think a more appropriate term instead of social isolation is maybe physical isolation or something like that, physical distance or something along those lines. I think that's really the gist of what the officials are wanting us to do, is just physically stay apart. They don't want us to necessarily socially stay apart, just physically stay apart. And I think this is an important distinction to make, especially for people who might live alone or for those who get the majority of their social interactions in person outside of their home. Even more importantly is when there are people who are struggling with finding their sense of purpose while their job might be on hold, or some volunteer work that they do might be put off for the foreseeable future. You might volunteer at a church or someplace in your community, but a lot of those places are closed, and they may be for the next several weeks, and if not months at this point. So if that sounds like you, if that sounds like someone who might be struggling to find a sense of purpose during all of this while we're stuck at home and, doing puzzles or watching Netflix or whatever it is that we're doing, because we can't go to work. If you're struggling to figure out what your purpose is these days, maybe your purpose could be as the person who checks in on all the folks in your life, your friends and family and neighbors and stuff like that. You reach out to them and see how they're doing, because, we're all sort of in this together. We're all stuck at home. We're all, trying to figure out what to do with ourselves in this kind of unprecedented times. So maybe that could be your purpose. You could be the one who checks in on the people in your life. So how do we do this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to run down a list of a few tools that people can use to communicate with each other while not necessarily in the same room. Obviously, there's a telephone. You can pick up the phone and call people. But sometimes you want to have something a little bit more intimate or personal. You want to have that video, like so you can see the person, see their reactions, their facial cues, and that type of stuff. And so it helps to have something that's maybe a little bit more involved than just telephone or a text message type of thing. Now, I realize that not everyone out there is going to be some tech geek like me who is comfortable and familiar with how some of these tools work. So not only will I introduce a few of these tools that you can use, but I'll also walk you through how to use them as best as I can. Obviously, it's a podcast, so I can't sit down next to you and show you exactly how to use it or anything like that. But I'll do my best. I'm introducing these tools. In this case, you can use Google to find tutorials or videos and things like that on how to use these tools in whatever situation that you want to use them in, and there's plenty of tutorials out there for all of these, so it shouldn't be too hard to find that type of information. So I'll start off with Facebook. Facebook's a pretty common platform that a lot of people are already on and familiar with. I'm going to start here because it's a pretty low barrier to entry. Most people have an account. They've used the platform, whether they have an active account or not. They've used it before, so they're somewhat familiar with it. So the barrier to entry here is going to be kind of low. And if you don't have a Facebook account, I mean, it's 2020. Just sign up for one. I mean, it kills me when I hear people, especially veterans, who say, oh, I don't want a Facebook account. I don't want them to take all my information. I value my privacy too much. I mean, it's like, you were in the military, dude. All your shit's out there anyway. You had no privacy in the military. Just sign up for the damn account. You can delete it after all this crap, blows over or whatever if you want. But just sign up. You're not giving up too much by signing up for an account there. All right, so how do we keep in touch on Facebook? Of course, you can post updates to your timeline or stories or whatever they call them, but that's not a real connection. That's just you. That's a one-way communication. That's you posting something, and then maybe someone will comment and whatnot. But that's not much more than a text message would give you. But they do have a pretty useful feature where you can video chat with your friends. If you click the little messenger icon, if you're on the desktop, there's a little thing at the top. If you're on your phone, I think it's on the top right. It's a little icon. It looks like a speech bubble with a lightning bolt in it. You can click on that and then find a friend's name or search for a friend if you haven't chatted with them before. In the message window that pops up, there's a video camera looking icon. If you click that, you can start a video chat with the other person. And there's also an icon that looks like a telephone that you can start a voice-only call with that person if you want to do that instead. That's not really much different than a telephone conversation that's going through Facebook. So, I don't really see the value to that too much. You can also do a group call with several people at once, so maybe you have family scattered around the country or several friends that you want to chat with. Maybe there's a special event, an anniversary or a birthday or something like that that's coming up, and you're not going to be able to get together to celebrate it, but you can get several people together at once on this group chat feature, and then create a group message with those people. And then you could do the same thing. You can have a video chat with all of those people, the same way that you could with a one-on-one type of conversation. Like I said, the nice thing about Facebook is that a lot of people already use it. They're familiar with the platform. There's a low learning curve there. So it shouldn't be a huge technological burden. No software to install. It's free. People are already there. So it shouldn't be too much of a hassle to get set up on that. If you are an Apple user, iPhone, iPad, a Mac computer, FaceTime is nice. If everyone that you want to chat with has Apple devices of any type, whether, like I said, it's an iPhone or iPad or a Mac computer. If you all have one of these devices, you should be good to go. Apple makes it pretty intuitive on how to connect with that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there on how to do that. The downside is that if someone you want to connect with doesn't have an Apple device, maybe they have an Android phone or a Windows computer, they're not going to be able to use it. There are some third-party apps that claim that they can use FaceTime on Windows and maybe even on like an Android phone or something, but I don't know if I really would trust them all that much. If you give it a try and it works, though, great, I guess. You can always try that. But if you know that, all of your, family or friends, whoever you want to contact, has an Apple device of some sort, FaceTime is another nice, free, easy to use tool that you can use. Zoom is another tool that you can use to do video chats with some people. It's free for one-on-one meetings with people. So if you have you and a friend, or you and a family member or something like that, you want to do that, you can do that for up to you can do that, basically unlimited, amount of time there. If you want to have more people, I believe the limit is up to 40 minutes at a time. Although I have heard that they may have lifted that limit temporarily due to this coronavirus. I haven't confirmed that though, so your mileage may vary there. If you do want longer with more people, you can upgrade to one of their paid plans, which is like $15 a month, which, for a month or two isn't too bad if you're going to be doing this on a somewhat regular basis. Hopefully in the next month or two, this nonsense is over by then. Okay, so to use Zoom, head over to zoom.us, US as in United States, zoom.us, and sign up for a free account. And I'll have links to all of this in the show notes as well. There's a big blue button at the top of the screen that says sign up. It's free. Once you're all set up and you get a personal meeting room that you can use that to send to whoever you want to meet with. It's just a link that you and your guests can use to chat. So you would just send that over to your friends or family, send it over by email, a text message, burn it into their lawn, whatever you want to do. However you want to communicate that to them, that whatever that link is, you can send it to them. That's fine. Now, the downside to this is that everyone who uses this needs to install some software on their computers for it to work. The plus side to it is it's super easy to install. When your guest clicks on the link, if they don't already have the Zoom software installed on their computer or whatever device they're using, it's going to prompt you to install the software, and you just follow the prompts and just kind of agree to all of the settings and everything, and it'll do its thing to install it, and you'll be good to go. One thing that you want to pay attention to is that you'll need to be logged into your account in order for it to recognize you as the host of this meeting. And being the host lets you kind of control the meeting. You can mute people if you have several people talking all at once, or something that might get a little annoying. You can kick people out or whatever if you need to. I actually use Zoom to record most of the podcast interviews that I have when I have a guest, because most of my guests are from all over the country, and it just makes it easier to be able to get in touch with them, and it works really, really well. And I haven't had any guests complain about having to install software or anything like that. It's really super simple to get up and running. So Zoom is not a bad option there. If you need some more advanced features, they have screen sharing, and they have a bunch of other features. And as a matter of fact, Zoom is being used very widely now due to this coronavirus and people working at home and doing school from home and all that type of stuff. Teachers and teams and businesses, they're coming together and using Zoom to meet up with each other and have the conversations that they need to have, that they normally would have in person, but they're using Zoom quite extensively, and Zoom has been pretty great with helping out the different organizations that are using them. So okay, another option is Skype, which, just like Zoom, Skype's another popular video chat tool. Honestly, there's not much difference between how Skype and Zoom work for what we're talking about here. So use whichever one works. If you already are using Skype or Zoom or whatever, you can just keep using that. You don't have to switch tools just because I mentioned another one here. If you try one and it doesn't seem to be working for you, you can't get it to work for whatever reason, try the other. Like Zoom, Skype does require some software to be installed first. You can go over to skype.com and find the download information. I think you also need a Microsoft account in order to use it, but they have the sign up stuff over there on their website. So you don't have to worry about figuring out what you need. They'll tell you everything there. The only other thing I'll mention is that for all of these tools, everyone you want to chat with needs to be using the same tool. Okay, so you can't be using Skype while someone else is using Zoom and expect to be able to connect together. You both need to be using Skype or both need to be using Zoom or whatever Facebook or whatever other tool that you decide to use. All right, there are other tools out there that you can use. I think this is enough for you to get connected, with the people in your life. If you need others, like I said earlier, just do a Google search and find what you need. You shouldn't need much more outside of this, though. So, okay, now we know like how to connect with each other. But what are some of the things you can do with these tools when you connect with each other? The obvious answer is just, you can call people and have a conversation with them. I mean, that makes sense, but there's more to it. There's more that you can do with all of this. So think about, maybe you have a group of friends that you typically do happy hour with on Friday nights or something like that. If the bars and restaurants in your area are closed and you can't do your typical happy hour anymore, why not try doing a virtual happy hour? Everyone can grab their drink of choice. It doesn't even have to be alcohol if they don't drink. And they can join in the same chat. And as a matter of fact, it might actually be better because there might be some, underage coworkers that can't normally hang out in a happy hour, at a bar or whatever. And they might be able to join you in this, obviously, keeping things legal, not drinking if they're not supposed to be or whatever, but they could still join the conversation and there's nothing stopping anyone from doing that. So, in a way it's like you're sitting around the same table, obviously without physically being in the same room or at the same actual physical table. Maybe it's not even happy hour. You could meet for coffee or dinner, even I've seen people do. The point is you're getting together with people and making that connection that we're all sort of missing right now in this isolation period that we're all in. I even saw a few friends of mine had done a virtual karaoke night. They did it using Zoom. They basically got a whole bunch of people on this Zoom call where they all just kind of showed up. They each picked a few songs from YouTube or Spotify or something like that that were karaoke friendly. So they didn't like the songs didn't have the words in them, and then they cranked the volume on their computer. So that the song would come through the microphone on their computer, so that the other people can listen to it, and then they sang the songs. That might not be your cup of tea. It's certainly not mine. I don't even sing in the shower, so you're not going to catch me doing karaoke. But if that's up your alley, then what the hell? It can't hurt to give it a try. Worst case scenario is it just sucks and you just hang out and chat with your friends for a while, if it's not working the way you thought it was. But I do know that if that is your thing, I do know some people who have tried it and it worked fairly well. So that might work for you. This next idea is a little bit out there, but I saw someone post on Twitter that they did a virtual beer pong tournament where both people set up one set of cups on a table and pointed a camera, like from their computer or from their cell phone or something like that, at them as they're throwing the balls and stuff, so they could still have the conversation with the other person. But then they also set up another camera pointing towards the cups, so that the other person could see which cups got the balls into and things like that. So they used like their phone and their computer or a tablet or something like that, so that they could be on as well as the cups. So in total, I think they needed 4 cameras in order to do this, but it worked, right? So one camera on the cups, another camera on the person for both people. So there's 4. Again, it's out there. It's kind of an out there idea, but it's possible. If that's something that you've done with friends and you want to, find something fun and entertaining to do to pass the time, then what the heck, give that a shot. If you're in a book club, if you've been in a book club all along and then now all of a sudden you can't meet up with your book club, there's no reason why you can't still meet up, just not maybe in person. Just take your in-person club and meet virtually. Use Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, Facebook, whatever, to meet virtually and have that discussion about, whatever the books are that you're reading. I've seen other people suggest playing board games with each other. It might require that you all have the same game to play, at your house or whatever. But or if not, you can have one person set up the game, with a camera on the game board or whatever, and do that. One person could do all the moving of the pieces or whatever. It's different, but it could work. If you need to roll the dice to play the game, you can get you can go to Google and just Google the phrase dice roller. And Google actually has a randomized dice roller that you can click the button and have it give you a random number 1 through 6. And so, you don't physically have to have a pair of dice in your hand to roll and, show everybody. You can just have it on your computer, click the button, and it'll roll the dice for you. One of the cool features in Zoom is that you can do a screen share. So if you have a family member or a friend that's having trouble with their computer, you can have them share their screen with you so you can help troubleshoot the problem for them. The nice thing about that too, with the screen share feature is, maybe for your work, you're supposed to do some presentation, and you have, a group of people that normally would have met up in one room, and you can't do that presentation anymore because those people, can't all be in the same place at the same time. You can send out that Zoom link. You could share your screen, and have the presentation on your screen. And then as you're talking, your voice is being transmitted out to all those different people, as well as the slides from your presentation. That's another neat way to use Zoom. To be able to do those types of presentations by sharing your screen. In terms of teaching, so we're talking about like a presentation, but maybe you're really good at doing something like building or fixing things, playing the guitar, cooking, baking, yoga, whatever. You can use these tools that we talked about to teach other people these things that you're good at. It's actually a pretty decent way to do it too, because you can teach a large number of people at the same time without the need to really get everyone to the same location at the same time. Plus, you can record the session of you teaching these people. With a lot of these tools, you can record the session, and then you can post the video to like YouTube or something like that later, which lets you help even more people. So if you're struggling to find a purpose, how to help people in these times, this is a pretty good way to help people, by teaching them something that you're really good at. It's even better if that thing that you're teaching is something that you already do for work, because it might help you get your business some exposure, which could lead to new customers in the future, once when all this dust settles and people can actually see each other again. I actually saw a video that a friend posted to Facebook the other day of some old Italian lady teaching people how to make pasta online. She usually does these in-person classes in her area in Italy, but since their whole country is basically locked down, she moved the classes online with the help of her granddaughter. So she's still able to do these classes and teach people how to make pasta, which is actually probably a pretty decent skill. If you've ever been to the grocery store in the last 2 weeks, there's probably not a whole lot of pasta sitting on the shelves, but maybe you have some flour and other ingredients that you can use to make the pasta at home. So maybe that's something that would be a good thing to learn. Could also be good for kids who are stuck still out of school. Many schools are doing some version of online learning, but it's probably not all that great. And this isn't blaming the teachers or the schools or anything like that at all. They're sort of in a tough spot, having the rug pulled out from under them and having to figure out how to do this online learning stuff when they're typically used to teaching in person. This isn't how they were expecting to have to teach and evaluate their students at all. So, as a parent, you might be looking for some supplemental education. Maybe that you're feeling like there's some gaps in the education that your kids are getting, at the tail end of the school year here. And so if you can teach something to these kids, that might help out those parents quite a bit. If you have a skill that would be of interest to someone who's in, grade school, middle school, high school, even college or older, that might be something that could be, quite useful to people. Online, you could do tutoring too. If someone needs help with math or science or anything like that, you can do this type of teaching from a distance as well. If you play a musical instrument, even, you can help teach people how to play that instrument, from it remotely as well. From a video chat. You can see what the other person's doing. You can listen to the notes that they're playing and how they're playing it. You can have the music in front of you. They can have their version in front of them, and then you can talk them through it and coach them through how to play, the songs or whatever it is that they're learning. Of course, if you're going to do something like this, if you're going to teach people stuff like this, you're going to need to let people know about it. You're going to want to let them know about, the fact that you are actually doing this. And you can post this information, out there on local community Facebook groups or other social platforms. I know the neighborhood that I live in has a Facebook group where we can post things like this. Your city or town might have something similar. If you want to get paid for teaching these people, you probably will need to set up some sort of online payment system. You can have a PayPal link where people can pay you, and then you send them the link to join your class after they've paid. That's a quick solution, but it's a little more labor intensive for you. There are more like robust solutions, like setting up a learning management system on a website where it lets you collect payments, and then it gives people access to various lessons that you've already done, that you maybe have pre-recorded, that type of stuff. That I suppose can work too. I suppose the level of involvement that you have with this will depend on how much you plan on offering, or whether or not you already have a website. If this is a one-off thing and you don't already have a website, I wouldn't suggest building one for this. For a one-off type of class, it seems like a little bit of overkill, I would imagine. But if you think it's something that you might do more often, you might want to think about building a website or adding to an existing website if you already have one for your business. Who knows how long this kind of craziness is going to go on for, and businesses are doing all sorts of creative things to stay in business, keep the lights on, if you will. And so doing something like this might not be a half bad idea if that's what you have, if that's where you find yourself, I should say. If you're a business owner who is, struggling because people are just not coming in through the door like they used to in a traditional brick and mortar store, maybe it makes sense to move things online. Set up an e-commerce site if you're selling products. I know this is getting off on a little bit different of a tangent, but I think it's an important thing to talk about too, because I do know that there are, a lot of businesses that are being impacted by this. I mean, just look at the stock market. I know that's not representative of small businesses across America, but if you just look at the economy as a whole, things are not heading in a great direction. And so I got to imagine a lot of small businesses that typically rely on foot traffic and people coming in through the door are probably struggling. A great solution is to offer your products online, and get into, the e-commerce space, and sell your products there. Amazon is only shipping out like essential supplies. And so people are looking for, some of the more, or some of the less essential stuff, but still stuff that they want, and potentially need for their household and things like that. So if that's something that you offer, you don't have to necessarily worry about competing with big companies like Amazon online, at least for the time being. And it's actually pretty quick and easy to get an e-commerce store set up, and selling stuff. You can probably start this weekend, or this week or whatever, if you have the time, and be done in a day or two, and you could be up and selling online. And that way, if you have loyal customers who would love to come in, but they're not coming in just because of their concern for their health and the health of your staff and the people in general in your area, they may want to help support you and get you through this time, so that way, after we all get through this, you're still there to continue serving them. And so, that might be a great way to do it. If you're concerned about, the logistics of shipping and tracking all the packages and stuff like that, you don't even have to necessarily offer, shipping of your products. You can have a local pickup option where people buy the products and they come to your store and have it delivered to their car or something like that. Or if you have a drive-through type setup, maybe if you set up a thing in the parking lot where people can just drive up and you can run their orders to their car and then put it in their trunk for them or whatever. That way there's minimal interaction with people. You can maintain that safe distance, apart, and you can continue, to stay in business. That I know that went off on a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like the small business owners are probably struggling quite a bit here too, and I didn't want to leave them out, with all of this. But I think the most important part here is to know that just because we have to sort of physically be apart, in a lot of cases, and we don't have that physical interaction, we don't have those physical places to go to, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. We just have to sort of think outside of the box a little bit here and get a little creative with how we interact with people. It's sort of what we do, right? I mean, in the military, thinking outside of the box kind of helps in those, especially in a deployed situation where supplies might be, hard to come by. Thinking outside the box on how to conserve things or how to reuse things or repurpose things, really, really came in handy. And if you could do the same thing here, where we have a whole bunch of tools at our disposal, think outside the box a little bit and have a video chat tool which was designed for possibly business purposes, so that people can have business meetings all around the world without having to leave their office. Use a tool like that to do something stupid like play beer pong or whatever. It's actually, it's not what it's designed for, but it's actually a pretty good use of the technology, especially in times like this when we need the social interaction to keep us going. But I'd actually like to hear from the listeners, hear from you and hear what you are doing to keep sane while you're stuck at home or stuck wherever it is that you're stuck. Most businesses around are closed. So even if you wanted to go out there, there just aren't too many options. So what are you up to at home? Are you doing anything creative? Are you building puzzles? Are you, learning a new skill from someone who might be taking some of my advice here and teaching stuff online? Or what is it that you're doing? Or are you just sitting there going stir crazy and not really knowing what to do with yourself? So let me know in the comments on social media, wherever you find this. Let me know what it is that you're doing. We're on all the social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Drive On Podcast. So let us know what you're up to and how you're keeping sane. And if you have any other creative ideas of how to get in touch or what to do with people when you do get in touch with them, let us know there too. That would be great. Thanks for listening to the Drive On Podcast. If you want to check out more episodes or learn more about the show, you can visit our website, driveonpodcast.com, or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Drive On Podcast.